Hi fairies, it's Laurasia Andrea and welcome back to another video, and today we are learning how to do a full sew-in 2026 edition, catering to less tension around my edges for my fine hair girlies. The hair I'm using today is from Curls Queen. I wanted something with a kinky coily texture, so I used 2 bundles of 3C for a coily, which is equal to a full head since each bundle is 150 grams versus the common 100 gram bundles on the market. I paid $100 for a full head beehive with edges at the African braiding shop. This beehive braid pattern is the perfect protective style for fine hair girlies. It lays flat and every braid is going the same direction, which means my tracks lay evenly with no awkward bumps or unevenness. I'm using 2 wig caps as my base, a stocking cap first, then a weaving cap on top. And the reason I double the caps is to create a firm and stable base for me to sew onto. This is what's going to hold everything in place without anything touching my actual scalp. Here's everything I'm using in today's install, and I actually decided to switch to a L and straight needle for my sew-in today. Most sew-in needles are fully C-shaped, which means that when you're sewing, the needle is piercing all the way through your braid, potentially touching your scalp. The L-shaped needle I'm using is only curved at the end, which means the needle is going through the hair on my braid and not through the braid itself. I'm sewing both caps down on my perimeter braid so the caps become one solid base. Fine hair doesn't have the density to handle repeated tension without thinning over time. My method protects against that completely. Once I finish sewing the perimeter, I cut my thread, then trim off any excess wig cap I don't need. You want a clean, flat base with no bunching or extra fabric. Any excess material left under the tracks is going to create unevenness in bulk that you'll feel and see in finished install. I'm starting with my first 22-inch bundle and separating the hair on the bundle before I start sewing. I'm using blonde nylon thread for this bottom section because the blonde thread is much easier to find and cut for the takedown. I'm piercing a needle through the end of the width first, then through the wig cap, and start to sew the install, focusing on the needle through the wig cap base and not piercing through the braid. I sew using the blonde thread until I reach the bottom of my ear, then I switch to black nylon thread and continue sewing until I reach the top of my ear. With the remaining 22-inch width, I'm lining it with my anchor braid, which is the braid that sits right behind my edges. Instead of sewing it down facing backwards like a normal track, I'm facing the track forward with the hair falling in front of my face. I pierce the needle through the end of the width, then through the wig cap, and start sewing the track onto the anchor braid. This track is going to become the foundation for my invisible part, causing zero damage and tension to my edges since we are crocheting loose hairs through the weaving net on my base. To start the invisible part, I take the end of the rat tail comb and start taking small sections of hair through the track and crochet them through the weaving cap. These little pieces are sitting right in front of my face, falling in that 2-inch area between my edges and where the track begins. I do this about 2 or 3 times, creating layers of small pieces until this entire area is filled. Back in the day, YouTube girlies used to sew directly onto the braid closest to the hairline, either on the braid itself or using a net. With my method, I'm using both a stocking cap and a net, not only to sew my tracks onto, but to crochet in the front, resulting in zero tension to the hairline. After I finish crocheting, I comb out my edges to help guide how much teasing I have to do at the root. Using a razor creates a soft feathered texture at the root of the track, which mimics the way my natural hair grows out of the scalp, with no harsh line between my edges and that track. I'm sewing in the remaining 22-inch bundle using black nylon thread, flipping each track and filling in that empty space. To close the top, I measured the last track and cut off the excess. I then pierce the needle through both the wig cap and through the weft, and when I pull, that track fits into that space perfectly. This is all the hair that's left. 2 bundles was definitely enough for my entire head, and my head measures 21 inches for those wondering. This is 300 grams of coily, kinky hair, which means I'm going to need super hydrating products to define these curls. I'm detangling the hair with rice water in a brush first, then trimming the dead ends. This rice water from As I Am is packed with hydrating ingredients. Not only do all the products in this video work for defining the curls on the bundles, but they also work great for natural hair as well. Since the hair is detangled and hydrated, it's easier to cut and style, so I did a diva cut with a bang in the front to shape this fro. I'm starting with Hawaiian Silk leave-in conditioner and working in sections, taking my curl brush and working the leave-in through from the root to end, and you're about to notice that the 3C4A curl pattern start to slowly come to life and form into really juicy, springy curls. Next, I'm going in with this Brazilian curl conditioner that also acts as a leave-in for more coily textures to hydrate and define the curls. I'm using this leave-in to shingle the ends of the hair, and shingling is just raking the product through the hair in a downward motion so the curls clump together and the hair looks more defined. To seal everything in place and hold these curls over a longer period of time, I'm using Sebastian Reshaper Spray to lock the curls in place. I'm using my Pattern Beauty blow dryer and diffuser. I diffuse the hair on low heat, swirling the blow dryer on my scalp. This technique lifts the hair from the root to build that volume while the curls dry in its natural state. I take my time doing this because patience is key. If you rush this, most likely your hair will not come out looking like mine. So patience is definitely golden in this stance. That 3C texture gives you that ringlet definition, and that 4/8 texture brings in that coily spring that makes the hair expand and look super bouncy. This is 7 days later and the hair still is going strong. The ends are still defined because I do rub my hair every night, and I will show you at the end of the video how I do it. I'm fluffing the hair, building out the fro, and separating the curls from the root to create volume. I wouldn't say this hair gets matted, it just has product in it, which helps keep the form of the curls over a longer period of time. Since making this video, I have had this install in for 3 weeks. I really could go for like another 2 weeks if I wanted to, but I got things to do and videos to create. I will tell y'all I have gotten so many compliments on this hair because people really cannot tell from my edges if this is my real hair or not. I like this gel for my edges. It doesn't leave any product buildup or residue behind once it dries, and I like the way it leaves my baby hairs. Here's 4 hairstyles I've been doing lately, and I love how effortless this protective style is for me on a day-to-day. I just take the hair down and flip it with my hands, put some clips in, and I'm out the door. This being 300 grams of hair, my head doesn't feel heavy or sweaty, even if it's like 90 degrees outside. This method is not limited to just my fine hair girlies because anyone can do this protective style. It has the longevity of a sew-in, the hairline blend like a flip over, zero tension on the scalp like a crochet install. I watched a couple YouTube videos from 2007 on how to do full sew-ins, and those videos definitely taught a generation how to do it. The difference between then and now is the damage and tension sew-ins can do to fine hair over time. I understand low porosity hair, I understand scalp health for fine hair like myself, and I understand that protecting your edges isn't a preference but a necessity. Last thing I wanted to show you guys was how to wrap this install at night. I'm using a velvet do-rag and tied it backwards, so the main part of the do-rag is covering the back of my edges and the bundles. Then I wrap the strings around my edges in front so they are protected. I take a bonnet and cover the ends of the hair, and since my do-rag is velvet and my bonnet is silk, the velvet does give the bonnet something to grip to so it doesn't slide off in the middle of the night. And that is pretty much it, fairies. This is my full sew-in 2026 edition, catering to my fine hair girlies. Thank you Curls Queen for sponsoring this video, and all products used will be linked in my description below and in my Amazon storefront. See y'all in my next one. Bye y'all.